Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host, Bryan. Today we're going to be doing a special selection, which is where one of you guys tell me exactly what you want me to check out, and I do it. I check it out. Today's comes at us from Matthew Whitney. Says, I got a bit of a palate cleanser for you. This track, Golf, is by none other than the co-founder of Patreon, Jack Conte. The video absolutely adds to the experience. And this thumbnail absolutely sells me on this already. I don't know what's going on. I did check out the description real quick because I was curious. I had seen that it was Jack Conte before I checked out that screen cap there, and I was looking through here. And he specifically states that golf is a video song, a new medium with two rules. What you see is what you hear, no lip syncing or for instruments or voice, and if you hear it, at some point you will see it. There are no hidden sounds. Now this was made back in 2009, and that just reminds me of a much earlier, younger internet where the idea of a video song might have needed some clarification. Very different from the modern wave of live looping videos where it's just kind of expected that everything that you hear is also something that is seen. Anyways, let's dive into this and see what Jack's up to. I've never heard any of his solo stuff, but I absolutely love his organ work, his keyboard work in Scary Pockets. So yeah, I'm excited to see what he does when he's all on his own and doesn't have just his thoughts and where that takes him. So we're in 7. Out of the cowbell. That bass is interesting, just rhythmically. It's not really lined up with much else that's going on. Very musy, no? I love how it breaks into a bit of groove right there. Contrasting with the heavy quarter note accents right before it. Is a much wider, much larger idea of this verse line, and I think it's just the additional voices coming out of the percussion section. Yeah, I absolutely love the way the song is evolving and the contrasting ideas and atmospheric concepts that are just pulsating through this. Yeah. Yeah, that tremolo picking is adding a ton of textural variety to the song, just increasing the tension of it. All right. Yeah, really cool stuff in there. Um, Definitely giving me a Muse vibe, though. I'm sure I'm not the only one. I've only heard a few Muse songs, but highly atmospheric, tons of tremolo picking, a little bit of dissonance, and a lot of uh, head register singing. What is that? Falsetto. um, yeah, and it's just it's really interesting combination of things because to me it sounds so much like a Muse song that there's probably I'm not a huge Muse fan. I've only heard a few songs, but if you'd played this for me and told me it was Muse, I probably would not have batted an eye. Probably would just accepted it as truth, which is interesting. So there's definitely a bit of inspiration being worn on the sleeve here, and that is 100% fine. That is how music expands and grows. It's just what we do with music and all art forms. You replicate your inspirations, you replicate who you enjoy, what type of stuff you enjoy viewing or listening to, and eventually you put your own spin on it and create your own style. That's how art works and expands and grows. That's awesome. I don't want to say that as a negative, that this reminds me of a Muse song. That's not a negative at all. So there's a lot of really cool things going on here. First of all, we have the backing track vocals that are not purely doubled up with some sort of a chorus or anything like that. It looks like it's recorded twice, and it provides nuance and imperfections. Some notes begin earlier than the other track. Sometimes the notes are just a little bit out of sync and come back in. It's the minor imperfections that real double tracking can provide. You don't only just get the width out of it. If you just want width, you can use a chorus effect or a chorus pedal to double it up perfectly. But you get those minor imperfections that add a lot of color and characteristics and personality to the singing style, like what we saw here. So that's the first thing that really stands out to me is that the vocal work and some of the nuances in there. Now the other thing is the drumming. The drumming is the heart of the song. It is where, without the drumming, if we took the drums out and played the song, we would still kind of get these peaks and valleys of energy and momentum, but it would be missing a lot of the key elements that make the song interesting. So when the song's a bit more restrained, there's a lot more rhythmic variety coming in from the drums, and it really adds to these sections and allows the instruments, like the guitar work and the piano work, to provide the atmospheric ideas and to provide the emotion of the section. And they don't have to focus on the rhythmic element as much. The drums are taking care of that. They're making sure that the rhythmic part of the song is still interesting, that there's still drive and momentum, and these instruments can really focus on building the atmosphere and the feeling of the sections, and that is important. Sometimes we double up on things. Sometimes we amplify the idea of harmony or atmosphere or rhythmic concept by synchronizing the instruments. You get the same rhythmic ideas in the guitars as the drums, and it really amplifies those notes. But here there's a stark separation in roles, and it really allows them to not be a jack of all trades and focus and hone in on exactly what they're supposed to be doing. And it doesn't necessarily amplify a specific idea, but it allows each idea to be at its best. Now, the drums also take the role of magnification or amplification when it comes to the chorus, because everything is hitting these quarter note downbeat strikes. It's just very rhythmic and robotic, very much a drastic contrast from that sort of looser, highly rhythmic concept that we were seeing in the verse. And this chorus leads into a highly explosive ending. We get this constant downbeat. We get like 2 bars of that, and then we move into this explosive drum fill that's just full of energy. We move into some of the bigger cymbals to get these wider sounds. The guitars start doing their crazy thing, and it's this explosion of energy before coming back down, and we repeat it all again. And I love that. It's a bit butted right up against each other. It's not a lot of transition there, but I think as far as the song goes, it works perfectly well because we have these minor transitions and these slow burns into the bigger aspects, but to move right back to the small one, it works in a contrasting way. We have these slow burns. We don't need nice transitions out of them. It is to show the stark contrast between how difficult it is to get to the top and how easy it is to fall back to the bottom. Um, so yeah, I just really love the idea of contrasting ideas here and the way that they sort of build on each other and work against each other to have this sort of tug of war between the highs and the lows. It's really fun watching how the song evolves over the length of this. The 3.5 minutes. It really doesn't feel like 3.5 minutes. It feels like maybe 1 or 2. It's a very quick song that moves through its ideas rather quickly, and also I just really enjoyed it. There was definitely a few times when I was like, "There's no way this song's still going," and yeah, I just really thought it was over already, and just not much time had flown by. So that's pretty cool. Let's see what else really stood out to me. We have a lot of timbres in here, and I really appreciate it. I mentioned in yesterday's video with Between the Buried and Me that I think it's awesome when a band has that sort of width of musical knowledge as far as instrumentation and timbres go, and they can utilize a lot of different sounds in their music, even though they're sort of sticking within a single idea. And this is very rock. It has a little bit of punkness to it, but it's still very much a rock sound, even moving a little bit into sort of a post rock idea in some of the heavier sections. But even within that framework, we still see a lot of really unique sounds, like that toy piano. I'm not sure what that was, but it has like a tingy, almost like a metal glockenspiel kind of idea to it. And it was just like the tiniest pianos. There's like 20 keys on it. He worked that in there. There's all sorts of different. I mean, I'm gonna I'm gonna go back a little bit and cheat for a sec. Oh, we got the cowbell. That's right. Forgot about that. We got the bass. We got the acoustic guitar. We've got the vocals. Uh, we've got the big keyboard. We have a lot of different pedals on the guitars. There's some cool stuff going on there. The little keyboard. We had a lot of modulation, full piano. I think I already mentioned. Yeah, there's just a lot of really cool ideas going on in here outside of the standard, rock concept. And yeah, like I said, I just really enjoy when a musician or an artist or a composer has this repertoire in their mind of just listening and saying, "Hey, this part really needs a toy piano," and they're like, "Why?" It just does. Hear me out on this. Let me go get it. Let me play it in here a little bit, and you'll see. It's gonna be good. I promise. And there's just something that I don't know if it's just because of my classical background, my jazz background, big bands, orchestras having a lot of voices. I like rock and metal for what it does, but it always seems so limited to me when the big difference is your guitar tone. That's what separates the sonic identity of a band. Um, it's just I think that's why so many bands that move outside of that and incorporate different elements, saxophones, violins, pianos, electronica. That's why I gravitate towards that stuff. It just it reminds me of the wider palette that a lot of some of my favorite stuff utilizes. And just like this, using these odd instruments, it's right up my alley. I love it. Um, and I would never have thought of them. I think that's the other thing that really gets me too. I love when it's nice to listen to a band and have that comfort, to know exactly what's coming, and to expect something and then have those expectations delivered on. There's definitely something nice about that if you're in the mood for it. But I also like to listen to stuff and be like, wow, I would never have thought to do that. Or, what instrument is that even? I've never even heard that tone before. What is that? I love that feeling of not knowing what's going on as well. The other thing I really want to talk about before we finish this video up is that very Muse-like tremolo picking that we used at the end. I mentioned that the song does a lot of dynamic work with rising tension and escalating layering and just overall intensity building, while also dropping all that off to return to more relaxed segments. The ending of the song, I think, is the most tense because it also has the most amount of attacks in it. That tremolo picking adds something wild to the song that wasn't present in any other section, especially the sections that were very similar in this high volume, high intensity sort of rock style. And that tremolo picking brings in not only just the intensity of speed, having all these attacks in such a small amount of time, but there's also some stress and anxiety that comes with that. I tend to feel that with Muse's works, as well as some of the stuff in the post rock, post metal stuff that really focuses. Black metal does it for me too. Just that fast tremolo picking without much context to it. It's an anxious feeling. It's raw speed. You pick a note, you play it as fast as you can. It is all about that speed. And with music, especially on a first listen, you don't know where you're going. It's a raw speed to an unknown destination, and to me that can feel very anxious, anxiety inducing. But tension, I think, is the underlying idea that really goes along with that tremolo picking idea, and I think the song builds on tension very well. And that final moment of that fast tremolo picking really digs into that idea of tension and escalation in the most pure way possible to finish off the song. And it's kind of like saying, we've seen this idea at the beginning. This was, our high point. And then we had this high point where we had an extra instrument. But this is the highest point, and we're doing it with the tremolo picking. And that's just because that you really can't get more stressful and loud and anxious with intensity like this, because you can build a lot of anxiety and tension through atmosphere and chordal work, but as far as something like this where you're just going for something loud and heavy, that's the way to do it, and I think it's a perfect time to introduce it. So those are my thoughts on Jack Conte's Golf from 2009, the video song. Oh man, how the internet has aged. This is where you guys come in, though. Hit me up in the comments. Let me know what you thought of this, if you enjoyed it or not, anything that might have stuck out to you that I missed. And yeah, Jack, if you're watching this, I enjoyed this. And like I said at the beginning, Scary Pockets is my jam. Absolutely love what you guys are doing with that. Above the comment section, there is a description box with a link for Linktree in there. Very cool thing. It's a menu with everything related to the channel, the Discord, Patreon, Twitter, special selections, all that stuff you can find there above the description box. Like, subscribe, and ring the bell. All three of those things help out the channel immensely. I'll be back tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 p.m. UTC, with another song for our weekly theme of new releases. And until next time, remember to be critical, not cynical, of the music you listen to, and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening whenever you choose to watch my videos.